So, what we do, we're a wireless providers, also known as a WISP, Wireless Internet Service Providers. There's quite a number up and down the country. Contrary to popular belief, we're not cowboys. Steve. Started around 2000 with the 802.11 specifications for internet, wireless protocol. Give or take a couple of years sort of thing on that. Most of us provide internet to remote rural communities and mostly regional. So I cover from Kaikoura down to mid-Canterbury. There's operators in Taranaki, Northland, West Coast, Southland, you name it, there's operators there. We use the most cutting edge equipment. If it comes out tomorrow, we'll have it next month, sort of thing. And we estimate between the group of approximately 30 larger operators and the 20 smaller ones, through a poll that was done a few months ago, there's probably about 80,000 plus end users using wireless operators. So chances are there's somebody covering an area where most of you live. Most of us operate on the general user license band, and we are moving across towards licensed product as well, either for backhaul or for point-to-multipoint. One of the greenest providers. Most of our equipment is all solar. I know Vodafone has started using solar in some remote sites. We've been doing it since 2005. Two things there, we've got a wind turbine in from United Kingdom. I think they're about the only ones that stay together. So it'll be interesting to see how Vodafone's ones last over time. And solar panels, that particular one, just shy of 2 kilowatt for that particular site. That site there is 45 metres high from the ground to the top of the tower. So as I said, we started in 2005. That's a coverage map. So it overlays quite a bit of what Vodafone do as part of their RBI, but we also cover a lot of areas that Vodafone don't. There's a lot of remote valleys. We've built sites in some pretty remote areas, helicopter only access. To lift equipment up the top of this hill, far easier job than carting it 400 metres up a vertical hill. Trust me, it's hard. Here we are. Dan talked about his site earlier where he's connected. That's the new tower that we put up on the top of Hurunui Peak where Dan comes off. Again, pretty remote as well. Getting up there is tough, really tough. In fact, how tough? You've got to use a bulldozer. So Dick there, smoking's bad for you. Dick spent about 28 hours on that dozer, dozing a track up the top of the hill. His old man said to him that, one day you'll be able to drive the top of Hurunui Peak, and Dick took the bulldozer to the top of Hurunui Peak. And that was the second site we built. We built a site up in the back blocks of the Inland Road. There's a couple of local farmers. They gave us a hand to get the gear up the top of the hill and build the site. There was no snow when we started that day, and that's how much snow we had by the finish of the day. You can't quite see, but they're actually smiling. It was a pretty rough day, but they stuck in and gave us a hand to build it. This is a little site that actually connects to that one that those guys helped build. And this one supplies a remote shooting lodge for overseas visitors. There's some Americans have wealthy other Americans come and shoot deer. They pay huge dollars. There's no power there. There's no cell phone. There's no nothing. They've got their own little hydro station which powers the lodge. They have voice over IP in, and they also have broadband for their guests. It's just part of when you're paying $20,000 to go shooting, they need internet. They still want to have contact with the outside world, and seriously remote area. I don't think they'll ever get cell phone coverage there. So we built medium-sized sites. This is a fairly modern one that we've just built just recently, all solar powered. It's all scalable, so we can add more to it as need be. And the end user support off that, there's two two antennas up the very top that service the customers. We can supply 100 megabits per second to the end user. And then we built a few high capacity sites, again all solar powered again. You notice a trend here that we don't have many powered sites. We think probably power is more or unreliable than solar. Solar we can judge. We know exactly how much charge we've got in the batteries. We know that if we do need to go there, when we need to go there. We can mitigate the issues before they happen. Most of the sites have got battery banks of varying different sizes. Again, 100 megabits support to end users. And that mid-sized tower, there's a speed test I did the other day. And you notice that the 86 meg is the upload speed. So the wireless that we use is basically symmetrical. So they're getting generation 4 access. So the radio card that that particular site and those particular users are connecting to is one like that. So what's in the pipeline? There's new generation customer equipment coming. So we think 100 megabits pretty good now. That particular one, speed test, that particular card will probably do 150 to 200 megabits per second over a whole customer base sort of thing. We're planning to offload some of our Generation 1 equipment. Dan is actually connected to Generation 1 equipment. There's only 5 people connected to his particular access point, so it's not too heavily loaded. And then also increase backhaul capacity. And there we've got some of the latest Ubiquity, 24 gigahertz air fibre type technology. Maximum throughput is 746 megabits per second full duplex. You can co-locate it, it's FDD, so you can have them both on the same site using the same frequency. The further distance you go with them, the slower it gets, but they're pretty good. So the aim is to go less customers per interface. So as people's data usage increases with the likes of Netflix and those sorts of things, our idea is to drop the number of people connecting to each access point to keep the speed of the current customers connected. So how are we going to be doing it? One is to use Ubiquity. I've talked about some of the Ubiquity product just before. And here's the latest Ubiquity device, arrived in the country yesterday. GPS synced, it'll do 500 megabits per second, and generally you do 100 megabits per second to end users. The second type of equipment is Mimosa, so we've decided to start using Mimosa rather than Ubiquity. It's got the highest capacity at the lowest cost per megabit, and most of our routing and these particular devices are all MikroTik. So this is the new antenna. I was hoping it was going to be here so I could show you today, but it's due probably next week. It's got a capacity of a gigabit on the actual TCP. When you're connecting an end user to it, up to 500 megabits per second to the end user. GPS synced, so you could put multiples of these particular units at a site. They all talk together, so they know when each other's transmitting and when each other's receiving. So basically GPS sync, maximum throughput. And from the guys in the States, from this month, they've got their units a little bit earlier than us, and that's the type of speed that they're getting. 4G seems a bit slow, doesn't it? So possible speed would be 500 megabits per second across multiple users. So it's about Kiwi can do and cooperation between rural people. And we also go into cities as well. So there's the Cricket World Cup. We did a link for the media there. Again, Ubiquity, Air Fibre 24. So we're more than just a WISP, we're more of an ISP. We do work with EA Networks in Ashburton, fibre to the home there, out in rural areas, Enable in Christchurch and outlying areas, and we also work with the Vodafone RBI.